Hello, everybody. Welcome to Weekly Whiskers with Greenwell Fishing. As you can see, he needs no introduction. We've got Chris Souders with us tonight. We appreciate you joining us, Chris.
Absolutely, absolutely. And folks, I can't be express how excited I am here. Me and Mike's been talking, and it's going to be a good show. I'm excited about it.
Got some people rolling in. Thomas Littlepage was in early. We got Mike Irvin, Fishing and Gear. Jimmy, appreciate you all stopping by. Well, Chris, we're going to get started off by I'm just curious of what got you into fishing, period.
Oh, buddy. Well, fishing. Period. I grew up in the hills. So fishing was just like another thing. Creeks and everything else. But as far as tournament catfishing or catfishing in general was just a uh, to kind of fill a void that I had for competition. Um, you know, uh, I raced motocross before I done this. It was very competitive in that. Just always been competitive as a young man, as a kid. I didn't really play sports, but I liked the outdoors, and I had that competitiveness. So that's kind of how I got into catfishing and filled that void once I got too old and wasn't able to keep up with the young kids on the dirt track or on the track. I was able to kind of fill that void and get back in that competitiveness.
I think a lot of us guys that used to do competitive stuff back in the day, we've turned into tournament fishing and fishing period just because of that reason.
Yeah, there's uh, a lot of people don't understand that tournament catfishing is very competitive. It's going from just some buddies hanging out, putting a few dollars in a pot, see who can catch the biggest weight or the biggest bag, to it's getting serious. The cat
Very
master,
serious nowadays.
yeah, the cat masters down in Alabama, they showed that. That was 3 days. Day one we didn't end up having because of the storms and tornadoes, but you had to qualify for day three, and we was there for a week solid, and you had to stay on three different lakes, stay on three different patterns. All three lakes fished completely different the whole week for us, and it was a challenge. And to say that it was above and beyond competitive is an understatement. It was extremely competitive. Nobody was really talking. It was a lot different than what the tournaments have been in the past, and it was a lot of fun. I am really looking forward to fishing more tournaments like that in the future.
Yes. Uh, I, that platform they did with it was supposed to be 3 days, and then you qualify for the last day. What do you think about that? Do you like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, it day one and day two. I wish we'd have still had day one, just because we spent so much time on that lake. But unfortunately, the weather conditions didn't allow that. But I like that having to qualify for day three platform. And cut it down to half. I really enjoyed it, and it just puts a whole nother edge onto it competitively.
And speaking of tournaments, are you signed up, or are you going to do any other really big tournaments this year?
No, so I'm signed up for one other big tournament. It's a tournament that I just really like to do, and that is the Mississippi River Monsters. Um, I've got the Mississippi River's got a soft spot in my heart ever since I got down there and bumped it for the first time many years ago, and just absolutely had one smoke a reel out of my hand. It was I was done. I was hooked, and so I'll be back down there this year. We usually go down there for a few days just to have fun, and then we fish the tournament as well. So I'm really looking forward to that one this year. But
All right.
other than that, nothing that we're really signed up for. It's we may fit one in here and there, but it's really going to be concentrating on the show and just helping and teaching others how to do this and how to be more competitive or just go out and catch fish, whatever it may be.
I know a lot of the people out there and myself. We really appreciate you putting all that really good information out there. It's helped me a lot. It really has, and I know everybody else appreciates it too.
Well, you're very welcome, and I mean, if it wasn't for you all, I I wouldn't have no need to do what I do. So, it's truly, it's, you guys keep asking questions. I know a lot of people do ask questions, and I am sometimes slow to get videos out. I got a list of videos that I want to do. So keep asking the questions, and I will do my very best to put out good content for you guys.
We've had a few more people come in. I want to give a few more shout outs. We had some people, Korean's Life. We had Tom Doby. Sharina's in the house. Mike Irvin, I think I said you earlier. Big Hook. Fishing with the Chad came in. If I'm missing anybody, I'm sorry. I'll get back with you guys. Uh, Down in Alabama, you spent a whole week down there, and man, them pictures, you guys smoked some fish, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, I had the cameras with me. I had all my GoPros and everything, and I had this big plan that the entire week was going to go down there. And I was going to try to film everything and showcase, each and every day, what we did and what we didn't do, and how we found fish and how we was able to keep up on everything and catch bait and all that stuff. And I really wish I would have been able to, but the pressure of the sheer pressure of trying to keep up with all that was just mind-boggling on its own. And I started to try to do it, but my attitude on camera wasn't there. So I didn't want to put out video, where, I just wasn't myself.
Right.
I was kind of in, I guess, tournament mode instead of, joyful and kind of like what I am here, just relaxed and fun. But that, yeah, we had an absolute blast. I wish I would have took more pictures and video. What I showed on Facebook wasn't even half the fish we caught. It it was unbelievable. I mean, I could count numerous times where we would have 3, 4 fish in the bottom of the boat. Sometimes might have 4 fish over 20 pounds in the bottom of the boat, and
Mm-hmm.
it was just a circus, all three of us tripping over each other, trying to weigh fish, trying to, get fish taken care of. And at one point in time, we just stopped. We reeled everything in, and we're like, we're taking 5. We're taking 5. Get you something to drink, get you a snack cake. And then we baited back up and threw back out, and it was right back at it. It was one of them times where it was just an epic adventure to be out there, and I couldn't. I mean, the good Lord blessed us with 7 days of just absolutely wonderful fishing. No matter where we ended up in the tournament, it didn't matter because it was, the good Lord blessed us beyond beliefs, and it's all His. I couldn't do it without Him guiding me where I needed to go.
Exactly. How did you guys manage to uh, deal with that grass? Was the grass still on top of the water down there?
I heard a lot of people, talk about the grass, and um, what we did was we found waters that we could fish, and then once we found that water we could fish, it was like there was big grass pads moving down the lake. So one day that grass pad may be at the upper end of the lake, and then the next day it may be down to the lower end of the lake. And so it was so hard to predict where that grass was going to be, and you definitely couldn't drag baits. You couldn't even anchor, walk baits. You couldn't do nothing with all that grass, because once it got your line, it was over. It was like trying to reel in 100, 55-gallon drum full of water. It was horrible. So, we found active fish that were in areas that we felt comfortable fishing, and we could fish and predict every day how those fish were going to move, and that the conditions were going to be the same.
We went down. I think 2 weeks before the Cat Masters tournament, we went and fished Ryan Lawrence's season opener down there, and the Friday before we battled in that grass. We ended up catching a few nice fish, but man, that grass. We was trying to drag bases. We didn't know any better. First
Yeah,
time down there, and it whooped us. It whooped us.
yeah. That grass. It's just like fishing. Heavy trash in the Ohio River. It's you got to get away from it. You can catch fish, And there might be somebody, which I know there is. I mean, I've seen guys out there in the middle of it catching fish, catching good fish. But we just didn't feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Well, let's jump into. I know everybody been talking about the Catfish Crazy TV show.
Oh
How did
yeah,
that? How did that come about, man? You guys been doing awesome with that.
yeah. So actually, about this time, I mean, that's crazy that we're talking about it now, because it was about this time last year. No, I take it back. Man, time is getting away from me. So 2 years ago, yeah, this time last year we were starting season two. So 2 years ago, this time we I got a call from uh, Jim Hopper, and he's with Sea Arc, and we he got to talking. And he said, "Hey," he said, "would you be interested in doing something like this?" And I said, I kind of laughed about it, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I would." Honestly, thinking that it never happened, and
Right.
some time went by, and I'd forgot about it. Hadn't really thought about it no more. And a guy by the name of Preston, and he runs NKT Productions, the Brush Pile Show. If you guys have ever watched like fishing for crappie, definitely check out the Brush Pile Fishing Show. And he runs that, and he calls me. And he said, "Hey, are you Chris Souders?" And I said, "Yes, sir, I am." And he said, "I was talking to Jim. He said you might be interested in doing this." And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Doing a catfish show." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah," kind of got my interest. I'm like, "Well, I didn't really think, honestly, I didn't think anybody would call." And he said, "Well," he said, "let's get together and have lunch." And of course, again, I kind of thought, he's kind of blowing smoke. And about a month later, after that, he calls me and he says, "Hey, I want to get together, meet up with you, have breakfast one morning, and get to talking about this." And I said, "You're serious, ain't you?" He said, "Yeah, yeah, we're serious." And it was just kind of like a overwhelming goosebump kind of feeling. It was just
No doubt.
so we met up and went over the details, and man, it's been a blast ever since. Even with the struggles that we've had through COVID, and you know everything throughout me getting ran off the road in an accident and totaling a boat. Through all those trials, it's been an overwhelming, eye-opening experience at the people in this industry, in this community, that have stepped up to the plate to help somebody. Uh, Ryan Casey, Tyra and Craig Williams, Alan Thomerson, Mike Mitchell. I mean, the list just goes on and on and on and on of the people that, I didn't have a boat, and with everything that was going on, I reached out to these people, and they're like, "Yeah, come on. Uh, you can use our boat, or we'll do a show with you, and we'll get this thing rolling." And uh, you know, Jason Big Cat Mathena out there in Missouri, man, we went out there, caught my first sturgeon, caught a 72-pound blue cat out there. I mean, it was just uh, I can't express. And if anybody is watching this that has helped this year, thank you guys very much. I couldn't do it without you guys, and it's been a blessing.
This catfish community is just awesome.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Anytime, I mean, I see it on a daily basis on Facebook and everything. Somebody needs help. It's overwhelming the amount of help that they get, and that's awesome to see and be a part of something that is so rich with people willing to help.
See some questions in chat. People are wondering about Tackle Talk Tuesday. Is that going to be a thing anymore, or
So, unfortunately, I want it to be, but and if things change a little bit and I can get back in a routine of things, I definitely want to be doing it. I really like Tackle Talk Tuesday. I was able to help a lot of people, but my work schedule got shifted, and I don't get off until 5:30 right now, and I won't be getting off work until 6:30, 7:30. Whenever it starts getting warmer. So it's hard for me to be able to do that and still be able to do a live show. But now, if I can get back on track, absolutely. I still want to do it, and I still want to strive to do it just because of the amount of people that I was able to help.
Yes. Everybody loved that. I mean, you sit there and you draw us little rivers and show contours, and that was awesome.
Yeah,
let's jump,
yeah,
let's jump back into the show. I know me and everybody else. We appreciate you shedding light on the Pay Lake issue to a bigger audience.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's a lot of us. There's people down around this area. They go fight for it, but there's still some people around that don't have a clue about what's going on.
yeah, yeah. And I give it to all the guys that have been fighting for years for all this. You got Aaron Wheatley, Steve Douglas, Justin Browning, Rob Benningfield, Scott Crest, DeBow, I mean, the list goes on and on. These guys have been fighting it since, for probably 10, 12 years now. And, I've been to a couple of the meetings down there. I wasn't able to be a part of them, but yeah, we all would love to see something happen with this, and hopefully we can. And that was my goal. I know that the platform is probably not big enough to really make a difference, but my hope is to maybe one person, change one person from going to a pay lake to, turning into a lake fisherman or a river fisherman, and then, helping his friends go that direction. A lot of these people don't know what is going on, and hopefully it'll help them. If it just gets them to look it up, exposing pay lakes on YouTube, they got. If anybody goes there, they'll see what it really is all about.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, Thomas Littlepage. That that video that Chris and Steve did that introduced a lot of people to his Kentucky rig.
Yeah,
Everybody loved that video just for that rig. Everybody's been tying that double hook rig now.
that is my absolute favorite rig to fish.
With you traveling a lot to fish these them TV shows and your tournaments also, you do travel quite a bit. What's your process before you leave the house until you hit the water to pattern these fish?
Uh, Absolute craziness. I mean, it's like, yeah, I try not to let myself get amped up too much before, too early. I like to do that 2 week window because things can change so much, in a 2 week window between weather, water, barometric pressures, the moon phases going from, first quarter to second quarter, whatever it may be, right? So keeping it a little bit shorter um, will help you get started. Now, it's not going to put you directly on the fish, but that'll give you some information of where they should be at that time frame, and or maybe where they're going.
You use Navionics a lot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I use both. I use Navionics and I use Lake Master. Hummingbird with Lake Master has phenomenal mapping. A lot of people see me use Navionics a lot because that's what I'm really used to is Navionics. But our phones, you can download the map on Navionics for like I think it's like $10 or something. I can't remember exactly what it is. It's really accurate, so you can have that to look at while you're sitting on the couch watching Catfish Crazy, or whatever it may be. You know, um, you can do a little bit of research like that. But now, one thing, and I think, let's see how I want to put this here. Navionics, Lake Master, topographical maps have been a huge influencer in a lot of things, right? But I think that if you're a young angler out there and you do not remember a time that you didn't have a real good sonar, real good electronics, navionics, Lake Master, that sort of thing. One thing that you should make yourself do is go to your local body of water, wherever it may be. Say it's a river, a lake, small stream, and force yourself to learn how to read that water, to know what is going on underneath before you ever start introducing yourself into navionics and lake master. Learning how to read that river before that stuff was available to me made me make sense of what was going on under the water. So whenever I did get that navionics chart and that lake master's chart, I was able to put so much together to where if I would have just been that person that looks at navionics consistently or lake master, things that you see on that map versus what that water may be doing on top, mid, or lower water column can make a big difference. So learn how to read that river. Go out there on a slick day with current, and you'll see seams where there shouldn't be a seam. You'll see boils where there shouldn't be a boil, just disturbance, and you'll be able to find and figure out that river that you're on a lot quicker than what you would imagine.
I don't go driving over bridges just to look, but I've drove over bridges before and I've looked down at the water and I've seen current seams and stuff like you're just talking about that I've
Yep.
never seen before. And I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty wild.
Good
We got
slick water is a good time to go do that.
got a question up here. They want to know what channel is the Catfish Crazy show on and when.
So right now it's airing on Tuesdays at 1 p.m. and it's on the Pursuit channel. But if you don't have the Pursuit, you can get it on Pursuit Up and also Catfish Crazy TV on YouTube. So normally it loads to Pursuit channel at 1 p.m. on Tuesdays, and then they have been putting it on normally about 5 p.m. that afternoon onto YouTube. So, and also YouTube will hold all the shows from season 1 and season 2 as we move forward. You can go back, catch up on them, or maybe there was something in there that you missed that you want to go back and look at.
I do have thank you, Chad, for sharing the link. I do have the link to the Catfish Crazy YouTube in the description. I also have Chris's Slunger Cats YouTube channel in the description. Uh, is there more talks for more seasons, or is it still too early for that?
No, we literally just finished season 2, and as far as I know, at the end of this month, we go right back into season 3. So,
wow.
Yeah, and my goal for this year is to put a lot of emphasis on flatheads. Last year, with the time frames and the conditions and stuff, we done a lot of blue cat fishing. So this year, I really want to focus on flatheads and teaching folks how to find structures, what kind of structures to look for flatheads, times of year, baits, things like that. Because blue cats, flatheads, and channel cats, all three have a diverse way of catching them, and if it can be a challenge and a lot of fun to catch big old flatheads.
Somebody's asking, when are you going to get back on the kayak?
Oh, buddy, hey, I am working on it. I've got a trolling motor that I just cut down here a few weeks ago, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get it mounted to the front of my boat, and I'm going to order a lithium ion battery for it, and it's on. It's on. I mean, that's a lot of fun. That is a lot of fun. If you want a challenge, I mean, catfishing in general is a challenge, but it is a lot of fun. Now, I'm going to wait until the water warms up just a little bit. I ain't got the kind of nerves that like Kayak Mike's got to be out there when he's got to bust ice to get out there on the lake to catch fish. But it's a lot of fun, And I'm looking forward to getting back out there on that kayak.
I really enjoyed that video. You cutting that trolling motor. I'm like, man, does he know what he's getting into?
I told my wife, she said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to cut it in half. She said, what do you mean you're going to cut it in half? I said, I'm going to cut it in half. She said, you just bought it. I said, I'm going to cut it in half. She said, you just bought it. I said, yeah, I did. And I'm going to cut it in half.
That's super awesome.
So, and it worked out. I mean, it honestly was, I was worried about it, but it was super easy. I mean, if you guys ever go to do something like that, man, if I can do it, heavens to Betsy, anybody can do it. And that was super easy. Now, I did have one guy ask me. He said, "Why didn't you use a pipe cutter?" And I tried. I'd done some trial things, and it just wouldn't cut. So I thought, what the heck? Just take her slow, see what happens. Worst can happen, I'm gonna cut everything in half. And have to wire some wires together. So, but it worked out, man. It worked out. Yeah.
Looked like it worked out fine. What's your personal best blue cat and flatheads?
Personal best blue is 72, and personal flathead is 56.
Man, them some big old boys.
Yeah, I mean, I keep striving to get up into that 80, 90, 100-pound class on a blue cat. If I ever hit triple digits, I'm getting a replica made, and I'm putting it up here in the garage. That's just the way it is. I can't wait. I mean, we was real close. We was within eyesight of a 92 that was caught on championship day down at the Cat Masters.
Wow.
And the funny part about it is, well, it's not the funny part, but I felt bad because he was super stoked about catching the fish, but he was kind of upset because he didn't make championship day, so they was out there pleasure fishing, and we was out there competing, and it was a struggle. I mean, 90 pounds, that one fish would have put you in the money.
Yeah.
And
right.
And they didn't make championship day, but we watched them. It took them, that fish got them into a tree, and it took them 20 minutes. I timed it. Took them 20 minutes to get that fish out of the tree. Once they got the fish out of the tree, they had the boat, and it was a 24-foot Pro Cat. It was let loose from the anchor, just floating, and it took them 15 minutes to finish that fish off and get him in the boat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I know. I wish we'd have got measurements of that 92 that my buddy Jake caught when he was bumping. Was in that tournament back in October. Yeah. I wish we'd have got some better measurements and had something like that made. But we were so ready to get that fish back in the water that none of us was thinking about it.
Yeah, man, that's a big fish, man.
And it was. Oh. I mean, we expected a big fish to surface, but when that thing, and then it barely fit in the net. It's like his head and tail was touching in the net. Yeah. And I was just, I was overwhelmed with everything, and just picked that fish up and was like, oh, wow. It was just amazing.
I couldn't imagine. I could not imagine. Let me ask you a question. Whenever he was bumping down through there, what did that fish hit like?
He really didn't hit like you would think he would.
Yeah.
It took him a few minutes, but then when he realized he had a hook in his mouth, then he was angry.
Oh, man.
I mean, he hit just like a 30 or 40. I mean, but when he did, the biggest part of the fight was just trying to get him off bottom.
Yeah.
We both started questioning there for a little bit. Man, are you sure you're not on a log? Because the boat's still going, and we're like, oh no. And then when he got him up off the bottom, then he came right up. But
wow. Now, was that on the high river?
Sure was.
Oh my gosh.
There it was. It pulled down for me. So
I mean, that right there is a picture of what we could have if we could get Kentucky to step up and do something. You know what I mean?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh.
We've had a few more people come in. I'm going to try to – we had Betty, couple cross fishing, Muskrat, Roger. Appreciate y'all coming in. Ernie Brown. Don't want to try to. I'm sure I've missed a lot of you guys because we've been having some good conversation. I'm sorry about that, but if I do see you come in, I'll try to holler at you. Now I'm sure that everybody's been waiting, so let's start talking about some flatheads.
Oh yeah,
I know that's your favorite. Anchored or
absolutely.
anchored or spot lock?
Um, as technology gets better, I have been, doing more spot locking. But if you can't keep that boat still, and when I mean still, I'm talking like you're turkey hunting and you got a turkey at 10 yards, and that's how still you need to be. Uh, if you can't keep your boat that still, then anchor. Throw that anchor and throw you some drift socks out, and get things to be as still as you possibly can. But now, as technology gets better, spot lock has gotten better, and our ability to be able to figure out how to spot lock better has gotten increased. So in the springtime, excuse me, you can get away with spot lock, but now summertime, I go back to anchor, anchor and just trying to be as still as you possibly can.
And now, I mean, everybody knows live bait will catch the flatheads, but I personally think the bigger ones come on cut bait. What's your thought on that?
That's a give and take. Um, for me, there's times in the summer, full moons, new moons, different things like that, where a big live gizzard shad, and what I mean by good live gizzard shad is something that's not red nosed. It looks like you just pulled him out of 20 foot of water. He's super clean. He's shiny. He's got his collar back. His scales are good. He's good and slimy. That's a good live bait to me. Okay. Um, and a lot of people don't think that makes a difference, but it does. Makes a huge difference. And I don't know why, but you throw down a big live gizzard shad that's all red nosed, lost a bunch of its scales. He just don't act right, And a lot of times, those fish will leave it alone, especially a big old flathead. But in the springtime, cut bait works just as well. Sometimes better, than live bait. But as you move through the seasons, and I really start using more live bait, especially for those big flatheads.
I know all the bigger flatheads that I've caught, they've come on cut bait, but most of them has been in the later months.
Yeah. Now you can go back to it, in the fall. I'll start getting back into cut baits a little bit, But now, springtime, big bluegills, hand-sized bluegills, alive, moon eye, alive is good bait. Uh, Suckers, um, creek chubs, big creek chubs, all that stuff is really good flathead bait.
So when you're heading out to look for flatheads, what are you targeting?
Some sort of structure, some sort of the heaviest, um, nastiest stuff I can find. Um, that is normally so. If you find one big isolated piece, of like say log, or one big isolated chunk of rock the size of your truck, that usually will yield one fair sized fish, right? But if you find a big flat that is just littered with trees or some sort of structure or cover, then you will more times catch multiple fish in that say 8 to 25 pound range. But that is on every time I go out or every time I tell somebody to go out, look for that nasty stuff that you can find. Whenever you're looking at your sonar, if you're easing down through there and you're drinking drinking a drink, and you look down at your screen, you're like, holy smokes, what is that? That just fish it. Don't worry about how many fish you see around it. Don't worry about if it's got bait around it. Just fish it, and you have you yield a good chance of catching a big fish out of it.
Another question here in chat. We'll read that one. It says from Creole Catfishing. Do you think extreme muddy water has an effect on whether live baits or cooked baits? I'm guessing he means live or cut baits are more effective.
So that's a good question, honestly. In my opinion, anytime now I know where he's at, he's fishing. They have muddy water on a regular basis. But for us, anytime the water starts to get stained or starts to get muddy, that is a good sign, because that means we're getting flow from somewhere, and that water is going to start to come up. We're going to get that little bit of fluctuation in that water flow and that volume, and it kind of induces them to feed a little bit more. So, when it comes to that, I don't think it's so much live or cut bait as much as it's just their natural want, whenever that water starts to pick up and that current starts to pick up, is to start feeding. Now, it does give you the ability to your scent to disperse whenever you get more flow, right? So if the water gets a little bit of muddiness to it and the water flow and current is coming up, then that is going to give your bait the ability to disperse its scent better, to where if it was slacker current, then your live bait is going to pull those fish in from longer distances.
And right now, I think everybody's fighting high water. At least I know we are. Do you get closer to the bank, fish them current seams when?
So that's a good question, though. I mean, when it comes to you said something there that's interesting, and it was that we are all fighting high water, right? Don't fight it. Those fish are not going to fight it. So, and since you don't fight it. Now, it can make them harder to find because they've got so much of an area, more of an area that they can go. But don't fight it. Follow that current seams. We was talking about earlier about learning how to read that river. Now when the river comes up, those topographical maps or those Navionics Lake Masters, they're not going to play as big of a role. And where you learn how to read that river is going to play a huge role in it now, because now you're going to be fishing in areas that weren't even covered with water just a day or two ago.
I went out Friday, and man, I couldn't get away from the line trash. It was crazy everywhere I went. Inside bins, I mean, behind barges, it didn't matter. I could not get away from it to save my life. It was driving me insane.
I seen Betty Jean was in here.
Yep.
I'm coming for those crappie, Betty. Let me know. They do a lot of crappie fishing up here at a lake close to where I'm from, and I'm coming for those crappie. The rail mushrooms should be coming up, and I'll be out there getting some slabs off some crappies here real soon.
There you go. What water temp do you think the flatheads will start feeding?
Well, that differs a little bit. Now, I tell people to, and this is kind of like a conservative style, thing. That 60-degree mark is really where things pick up, right? But this time of year when we get a little bit of a flood, it kind of pushes things out, wakes them up per se, and you can catch a few. I know some guys that was out today on the high river, and they caught a few flatheads, and it was water temperature was like 48 degrees, 49 degrees. So there's not necessarily a water temperature per se. There's a lot more that goes into it than that. But normally that 55 to 60 degrees is where things really start to pick up. But the days are getting longer. They're wanting to start thinking about spawning and start feeding and getting ready to spawn. So that their natural instinct plays a little bit more in play than the water temperature does.
Very nice. And speaking of that line trash, if you get into line trash, do you just move, go somewhere else, get out of it?
I do my best. I mean, you know, uh, you won't always be able to get out of it, but I had a very very smart man that's won a lot of money fishing tournaments. He told me one day. He said, "Would you sit right?" He said, "Would you sit out there and get smacked in the face by that trash if you was a fish?" And I said, "No, sir, I wouldn't." He said, "Then why are you fishing it?" You know, and I kind of try to keep that in the back of my mind whenever I'm out there fishing. It was just like that grass, down there last week. We tried to stay away from it, but there's times you gotta suck it up and just get out there and put your head down and grind it out.
If somebody brand new, a beginner, was looking to go out and target a flathead, what's the best advice you can give to pattern a flathead?
Whew, that's a good question, man. Uh, if somebody new was going to go out to pattern a flathead, uh, patience. I tell you what, patience and a good notebook. Um, this right here, as you can see, I know that looks like my drawings, but I promise you that's my daughter's. But taking good notes. I don't care. Uh, in today's world of technology, if you write down notes, let's see here, and I can pull this out and go back to. See, I'll just open her up here to page. This is kind of old. This is actually what I started with, and this is just a river chart from the uh, Army Corps of Engineers, and you can print these off online. And basically, whenever I first started, I really had a whole lot of GPS and stuff, so I would print these out, and there's a lot of information on these if you just sit down and you read them. But I would take notes, and this is from 2012, and I've got in here, where I put in at Shawnee Marina, where the areas I fished, what the water temperature was. The water temperature is 22.9 degrees. Or no, I take it back. Air temperature was 22.9. Water 41. So it was pretty cold that day. What I was using for bait, just a bunch of different details. And still to this day, if I'm going out and I'm fishing and I'm not catching fish, and nobody's catching fish, I may pull out one of my old notebooks and just take a gander, and see what we're overlooking. It could be something simple like maybe that time of year there was a big flush of bluegills coming in to eat the eggs off the beds for blue cats or something, and we was able to get reaction bites instead of them wanting to feed. So little things like that. If you're going to go out and you're going to start to try to learn how to catch flatheads and learn how to pattern flatheads, be patient, take a lot of notes, and fresh bait. Those three things, and then fish structure. Um, and then whenever you fish structures, those structures versus the time of year, the bait, and that sort of thing in your notes, uh, you'll be able to put things together year after year after year a lot easier than what you could any other time.
Believe it or not, I just started this year writing stuff down. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I've never done it before, but this year I just started writing everything down.
Something I know. Whenever I was fishing against Carl and Rob, if you guys don't know who Carl and Rob are, they're like 4-time Cabela's King Cat Anglers a year. Carl's 2-time champion of the year, classic champion of the year, 2 or 3. I mean, they're just absolute animals when it comes to fishing tournaments. And he actually turned me on to something that you can get away from this, get away from paper, and put it onto like an Excel spreadsheet. Um, and what he does is he puts everything in a spreadsheet form, uh, and then he can start developing patterns with the Excel spreadsheet. And it just blew my mind whenever he was telling me this stuff, you know. So he puts all this information in, and it automatically just shoots it back at him. All he's got to do is he can look and see throughout the country, at a barometric pressure, like a high pressure or low pressure or a sudden drop or whatever it might be. He can pick up on a some sort of, you know, area or structure that those fish really dial in on, throughout the whole country. It was really nice whenever he shared that information with me, and it really stuck with me. But yeah, if you're good with electronics and Excel and stuff like that, do it that way. It'll open up a lot more doors for you than
Yeah,
paper.
that's pretty awesome there.
Yeah.
When you're chasing a flathead compared to a blue cat, what's the biggest thing you do differently?
Ooh. Uh, Normally, if we're chasing flatheads, the water temperature is warm. Um, so the biggest thing is if I'm blue cat fishing and the water's warm, I'm moving in some way, drifting, back bouncing, dragging, some sort of movement, covering water. If it is strictly flatheads, I am going to a specific piece of structure and just sitting on it, and then just bouncing, on and on and on. I'll have in my mind, I'll have 10 areas or 10 pieces of structure that I want to fish, and I just bounce those 10 throughout the day.
Got another quick question here in chat. Somebody's asking, what information should you keep in a notebook?
That's a good question, and I love hearing that question because that means that man is honestly going to try. So anything, you can never have too much information, but basics that I would tell you to keep in there is water conditions, weather conditions. Let's see here, and I'm just going to refer to some of the stuff that I have in mind. Come on. Okay, so the area you fish, the water, weather conditions, the area you fish, the type of baits that you use, um, the pressure, what it's doing, and not just the pressure of that day, but maybe the pressure of a couple days leading up to it and a couple days leading past it. And the reason that is such a big deal is because fish can feel that pressure way sooner than we can. It is something that I have really noticed over the years of fishing is in a pressure system, normally a couple days before it and a couple days after it is whenever the fish will become more active. Again, they'll be active, then they kind of slow down or shut down, and then they pick back up again. So, all that information is really good. The depth of water, how high, if it's coming up or going down, the clarity, the wind direction, all that stuff is plays a huge key and will give you information later down the road.
Very good stuff. Very good stuff. And we've kind of touched on the fresh bait for flatheads, but you think a blue cat's more likely to eat a frozen piece of bait than a flathead is?
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. Um, I catch more flathead or channel cats and blue cats on skipjack or moon eye that I have frozen versus flatheads.
Kind of what I thought too. We took some. I've never been real big on using moon eye, but I've caught some big ones. I caught some big ones one day, and I went ahead and froze them up, and we couldn't find any fresh, and we was out fishing. And I cut that moon eye head, and I was with two people that day, and
Yeah,
I caught almost all the fish on that frozen moon eye. They was using fresh skipjack.
yeah.
Weird, very weird.
Now here's something for you and for everybody watching is pattern the fish for the bait throughout the year. I try to stick to basically four baits, and that is gizzard shad, bluegill, skipjack, and moon eye. But those four baits, and also a fifth too, and that's carp of some sort, either common like grass carp, quail carp, or Asian carp, depending on where I'm at. So let's say those five baits right there. In the spring time of the year, like say right now, I'm using gizzard shad, skipjack, and then as spring will continue, I'll add in bluegill. So it'll be gizzard shad, skipjack, and bluegill. And then as they go on spawn and start to come off spawn, it's more of skipjack, bluegill, moon eye as the water's temperature starts to heat up. After they're off spawn and they kind of go to deeper water to rest or recuperate, I go to skipjack, moon eye, and either like a grass carp, quail carp, or Asian carp, depending on where I'm at. And then as the temperatures start to cool off, I will go back to skipjack and gizzard shad into the fall and winter.
Very nice. We got a question up on chat. I think that's Brent Jones. He's under Carolyn's YouTube page, but they want to know what your favorite body of water is.
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. But as big of a flathead guy as I am, I love catching big flatheads. They will absolutely test every ounce of your ability and every muscle you have in your back. But I truly love fishing the Mississippi River. Something about having one rod in your hand and you bumping down the Mississippi River, man, you don't know if it's going to be 8 pounds or 100 pounds. And it's just something about it. I mean, whenever you're bumping down through there and that joker comes up there and he just he just smokes that bait. You just don't know. And it's a thrill that never gets old for me. So I'm going to have to say the Mississippi River.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I got to get my butt down there on that Mississippi River. I've only been one time, and we caught a few fish, but I need to get down there and spend about a week.
Yeah.
As much as I love that bumping.
It's fun. And, you can fish anything you want to. A lot of people get, discouraged whenever they go out there because it's a lot of current, big water. It's dangerous. But, you don't have to fish the 5-mile-an-hour current if you don't want to. You can fish the sand side of the river until you get used to it, the sand rollers, and still catch fish. And that's what I love about it. Last year at the Mississippi River Monsters, met some new friends, and they were huge fans of the show and everything. And we had a good time. We ate some dinner one night, and they said, "Man, we just can't catch fish. We've been here for, I think I was there for like 3 days." And they said, "What do we need to do?" I said, "You need to get in the boat with me." And he just laughed. And he said, "Yeah, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. 7 o'clock in the morning, be down there and we'll, get in a boat and I'll take you out there. And took him out there and him and his wife and we caught some fish and they were, all they needed was that little boost of confidence to go out there and get it done themselves. And they done it. I mean, not only did they do it, they done it during the tournament. And they caught some big fish, big smiles, and it just made me so happy to be able to do that.
I've got to experience a little bit of that. I've taken some people out, and I've taught a couple people how to bump up here on the Ohio River, and it's nothing like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, and that one day we caught like a 25-pounder, and that was his personal best, and it was just a great day. I was just as happy as he was.
Hey, a 25-pounder is nice fish. I don't care where you're at.
And then just a couple weeks ago, I went out with my buddy Don, and we went to Hovey Lake. When the river gets real high here, we can go back in them backwaters. And he brought his grandson, and his grandson caught that 60-pounder, and that was awesome.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about that.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of wish we had areas like that around here.
I think I started fishing it 3 years ago, and our first trip out there, we didn't land anything over 40, but we had like 3 of them. It was over 30.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
Yeah. It's a nice change of pace whenever that river comes up.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your you think the blue cats wander around, then the flatheads are more of a territorial?
Yeah, definitely. Blue cats they definitely roam, in kind of packs or schools. You'll have, a lot of times if it's a big fish, there might be 1 or 2 of them, maybe 3, depending, sometimes. But if you got a big flathead, and a true big flathead, 30, 40, 50 pounds, in the middle of summer, if he's on a tree, that's his house. That's his house, and don't go knocking on the door because that's his area, plain and simple. And a lot of times you can go back to that same tree year after year and catch that same fish. That's his house. But where a blue cat, they just kind of roam those deeper areas in the summertime, or in the springtime. Now the flatheads will kind of roam or travel from where they have kind of nested or rested in the wintertime, their wintering holes, to where they're going to feed and kind of stage to spawn before they go into their summer areas.
What do you think about fishing on a hard fall or a hard rise?
Ooh, it's tough. Plain and simple. I mean, those two right there, a high. So anytime you get a spike, whether it be water or pressure, it's going to slow the bite down. Rising river is good unless it's coming up so fast that it just kind of shocks everything. So a hard raise or hard fall, whether it be water or pressure, is bad.
We spend a lot of time catching bait as catfishermen. I think sometimes we spend more time catching bait than we do actually catfishing.
Yeah, that's no doubt. That's 100% the truth, brother.
You guys got any questions in the chat? I've been trying to keep up with them, but I don't know if I've missed anything or not.
Yeah, I've been trying to keep up myself, and it's going pretty good. And if you guys are in here and you have not hit that thumbs up button, shame on you. Make sure you hit it.
Old Creo just popped up on there.
Question for Chris. Barges. Obviously, old barges are better, but will a flathead hang out in an area where barges are constantly moved around? Yes. Yes and no. I mean, obviously, like you said, the longer the barge has been there, the better the kind of chances it has of bait being attracted to it. and fish being attracted to it. Um, but I have seen areas where those barges haven't been there very long, and people catch fish off of them. I kind of believe that uh, areas that barges are moved in and out, or barges may be setting, are good areas to fish. Period. Just because that water forces that trash downward, which gives it a higher percentage rate of getting hung up and creating that environment that they like to fit. They like to hang out in anyway. So I wouldn't say necessarily that it's about the barge, whether it's new or old, versus just the area in general.
You you do much dragging baits when the Ohio River is like Lake Ohio?
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah, you,
absolutely. I drag a lot of baits, and here the areas that we fish, West Virginia, kind of West Virginia Ohio borders, we're just starting to get a good population of blue cats, and in the summertime, I'll start dragging and catch them, in that deeper water. But now flatheads in the summertime, when it's uh, when there's no current, it can be tough. But there's some guys that are you know evolving with everything, and we've started to use planer boards with weights hanging down and just maybe a foot or 2 feet off the top of the structures or covers that we're fishing, and just pulling them real slow up the river or down the river, and with live baits on. And we've been finding out that these flatheads will come up and grab that live bait, uh, you know, being drug or pulled up or down the river. So I think as conditions get tougher, people's drive will push them to try different things and push other limits, and learn new techniques and new ways of catching flatheads, in areas that don't have blue cats whenever the conditions get like that.
that's pretty interesting. I know you bump the Ohio River. I mean, I know you do, but you got good current on the Ohio River. You go out there and bump up them blue cats.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, now we don't have um, where we're at, we can't get up into the dams like you can on the lower Ohio River. So, for us, as close as we can get, it would be the Greenup Lock and Dam. And there's a long lock wall, and then there's a marker on the bank, and you can kind of get at an angle to get up close to the hydro, right? So that's probably the closest one that we can get to. And you're still a long ways away from what I would consider prime fishing water. I like getting right up close to that hydro where that turbulent water really is, getting right on that seam line and bumping down through there. But, you know, unless we get a lot of current in May, there's not a lot of bumpable water in our area, unfortunately.
We stay in a high water pretty, down past May. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's like, come on, we want some low water to go out and do some drifting or some dragging.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people talk about bumping, right? But something that people kind of look over is just back drifting with planer boards and heavy weights. And I've done a couple of videos on it. We've actually got a good show on it this year. I fished down in Metropolis, and we had the perfect conditions. It was late summer. Had about a 2 mile an hour current. It was just perfect to go out on those deep flats and suspend baits with planer boards, slowing the boat down, but drifting backwards. You're able to get the baits away from the boat, cover a lot of water, have a lot of baits in there, and you can catch a lot of fish doing it. It's not as fun as bumping, but you can be more productive doing that away. So I like to do that more so than just bumping on the high river. especially if I'm in an area that I can do that, very easily.
I've not seen you do that. I might have to look for more of them videos and check that out.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
pretty interesting.
it's super productive, and it can be a headache at first because you kind of gotta you gotta predict how far you're going to have your baits out, especially if you're on a ledge, because I like doing it on a ledge. So if I am dropping a bait down that I'm going to put up close to the bank, then I predict, how high I need my bait up off the bottom. So as I feed the line out and it moves over towards the bank, it doesn't get hung up or start dragging. So now if you're going out to the deeper side, then I will normally set off the edge of the ledge so that whenever I put my baits down, they're already as deep as I need them. And whenever I put them out towards the middle, I don't have to worry about going deeper. I just need to worry about how to make them, how high to make them whenever I go to put them towards the bank.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of
I
fun.
guarantee it.
Yeah.
It looks like Brent. He might be planning a trip to come down and fish that. I'm just going to call it the Call River down there because I don't know how to pronounce it the right way. So, do you have any ideas he can use if he's going down there to try that?
Yeah. So the Kanawha River is a super good flathead river, especially in the spring time of the year. So I don't know what time of the year that you're necessarily talking about, but if you are coming down, check the water levels. If there's current, you'll definitely want to fish it. If it's springtime, I'm going to use the Cabela's tournament that was normally there to 1st of May. The Kanawha River was hard to beat that time of the year. You had a lot of fish moving up the Kanawha River, but it got a lot of pressure as well. But the good thing about the Kanawha River is you're close to the Ohio River. So if it's not happening there, you can come out to the Ohio River. But it's the same thing. Look for structures. I would say get away from the crowd a little bit. That area gets fished super hard on a regular basis. And so get away from the crowd a little bit, but same things. Look for structures. Try to find those areas, those travel corridors that those fish want to be moving on to go up that river.
Well, Brent and Carolyn, they travel quite a ways. They like to go fish new stuff, so I'm sure they'll be coming up that way here soon.
I'm wanting to think that there was a tournament in Tanners Creek today. I'm not for sure of the tournament trail that had it. So if you do know the name of the tournament trail and you're in here, leave it there so we know. But I believe that they're having one. They have one in Tanners. They're having one in the Portsmouth area. And then I want to think they're having two more, one in Ravenswood and maybe Galpuss, but I ain't for sure. So that might be the tournament that he's talking about.
I know they come do a lot of fun fishing too, so they might just be coming down or coming up to do some fun fishing.
Yeah, if they do, get a hold of me. Get a hold of me. I'd love to catch up with you guys, have dinner or something.
There you go, Brent. There you go, buddy. We're a little bit past the hour. Are you still good, or you want to?
Yeah, brother. I ain't got to work tomorrow. So normally Sundays I normally have to work, but given it's Easter weekend, I'm off tomorrow. So that's good, man. I mean, hey, I haven't been able to do a live show for a while since the Catfish Conference. So yeah, I'm ready for it.
Fishing with the Chad says that was the Ohio River Catfish Series that started today at the Tanners.
Good deal. I'd like to know. I'd like to know how they done today. I'd say
Brent, you said. I think Brent said he went to the weigh-in. Maybe check out some. There's a link. I don't know if it'll. I can't get the link to pull up. But was there any big fish caught down there? 112 pounds wanted, he says.
Big fish was 60. That's a good fish. That's a good bag right there. That's a
Nice.
good bag up. Was that? I wonder if that was 3 fish or 5 fish. Um, the second week of May. The second week of May. If you're gonna come to this area to do flathead fishing, the second and third weeks of May, fourth weeks of the last. I guess I just make it simpler. The second to the last week of May is normally the best time to be in this area fishing for flatheads. That's whenever your big females are going to be full of eggs. You got your best chance of catching your personal best. Got your best chance of catching multiple big fish every day. Bait is normally running pretty good at the dams, and it can just be an absolute great time. Okay, so that was 5 fish.
5 fish. He said second place was 48 pounds. So first place really put it on him, huh?
And then they had it figured out, didn't they?
Does somebody know who it was? I'm curious to. I like to know all that stuff.
I seen a question. Let's see. Let me find it again. I don't know who asked it. Thomas Littlepage. He asked, "What rods do you prefer?" So, as a lot of people know, I'm a huge, Warrior Cat rods supporter. Unfortunately, they sold the company this year, and but Warrior Cat rods are super good rods. Um, you know, there's three rods that I've used that I with confidence can say work very well, and that is Warrior Cat, Big Cat Fever, and B&M. All three of those rods, good. B&M and Big Cat Fever, super good companies, super good rods. Can't say nothing. Nothing but good things about all of them, honestly.
Good deal. Yeah, I think somebody actually commented on one of your Facebook posts. They seen a big cat fever rod, and I think they was thrown for a little bit of a loop there.
Yeah. I'm trying out some Big Cat Fevers. I've used them in the past. Some of my partners have had them in the boat and stuff. But I'm trying them out. I like them. Super good company. Caleb Page and all the crew at Big Cat Fever. They're doing a phenomenal job. Um, you know, I was, Warrior Cat rods. I've been with them for many years, and John Adams and Eric, whenever they first started the company, you know, I had a great relationship with them, and can't say anything. They've done nothing but good things for me. Uh, and Warrior Cat rods are super good rods. Unfortunately, they sold the company, and uh, just kind of went my separate ways with that, and looking at different avenues.
Well, since we got a little bit of time left, I know you switched over to Hummingbird. I know you used to be Big Lawrence.
So I'm a huge Hummingbird Lowrance guy together. Um, Lowrance is my go-to. That's my bread and butter. That is my, that's what I grew up learning, right? So that's what I have a lot of confidence in. But Hummingbird has some very good features. I don't get into the Lowrance versus the Mega. Who's got the better picture and that sort of thing, right? I don't worry so much about whether I can count the whiskers on a fish or not, but I worry about the mapping and the details as far as that sort of thing goes. So I like the pictures that Lowrance has. I know what I'm looking at. Uh, I know what the transitions look like as far as going from maybe pea gravel to sand, from mud to rock, wood to some other cover. Being able to find wood inside of rock that makes a huge difference. Where Hummingbird, I'm not so as much comfortable or as comfortable as I am with Lowrance. So there's features of both that I really like, and that's kind of the reason I've ran both on my boats for a long time, side by side.
I know my buddy Don. He's got that CR 240. I think it's a 2019 model. He put a 12 live on the dash, and I've went to a lot of your videos while I'm sitting there playing with his to get it set up. So
Yeah. Now
that's helped a lot. That's helped a lot.
The HDS units, the live units, the TI2, the Elite TI2 units have come a long way, and are if somebody's out there and they're looking for a unit to get started with, the Elite TI2 series is a phenomenal unit. I actually had the Elite TI12 on the Dynasty whenever I got it, and loved it, absolutely loved it. One of the best sonars I've ever had. Unfortunately, Lowrance has discontinued the 12-inch screen in the Elite. Now you can only get a 9-inch screen. To get the 12-inch screen in the Lowrance, you got to go on up to the live units. Which I kind of, stunk because I was really liking that TI2. The money, the money versus what you was getting was so great. I really thought that they'd hit a home run with having a 12-inch Elite TI2, and
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What's the word on your boat? I know you had that accident. You getting it back anytime soon, or?
I sure hope so. Actually, so the Dynasty got totaled. Unfortunately, that was a devastating. I mean, I wanted to cry when that happened.
I can't see it.
But thankfully, Sea Arc, they're a phenomenal company to be a part of, and we got all that stuff taken care of. The insurance and everything, and they called me and they gave me the option of what I wanted to try this year, and I honestly I chose a Prodigy to try this year. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a lot different than what I was in with the Dynasty, but it gives me the ability to tell people what the Dynasty was like, which was a phenomenal boat. I mean, that
Right.
thing is an absolute tank on the water. Great boat. But I'm looking forward to getting into the Prodigy. It's a 20-foot, 20-foot boat with just bare bones. A great price point, and I'm looking forward to getting in it and fishing out of it and showing people what they can do, and and the price point that it is. It's a great price point. It's got a 50-gallon live well. It's a 20-foot boat with a 50-gallon live well, and you can strap a 200 on the back of this joker. I'm telling you, this thing's going to scoot up the river. You'll be able to go. I mean, I'd be able to go full throttle for 3 days and never even think about it. 50-gallon of fuel. I mean, there's been times we was on the Mississippi River. We was on the Mississippi River, and I'm telling you what, we had more gas on top of that front deck than I ever thought about having in the belly in the fuel tank. And we made a 92-mile run one way at Memphis one year, and to get on some fish. And I'm telling you, we had more 5-gallon gas cans and on top of and under the consoles and into that boat than I ever dreamed about doing. If we'd have hit something, that thing would have been looking like World War III done broke out. Yeah, I'm super excited about getting that boat. And last I talked, it was in rigging, so hopefully it won't be too much longer. Just like a lot of companies, they're facing a lot of difficulties right now with everything that's going on. So be patient, and I mean, I can't wait. I'm ready.
Well, we'll start the wrap up session here. You want to give a shout out to all your sponsors?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're first and foremost. I mean, man, everybody that watches these shows, that's you people are the ones that keep everybody going. one thing I want everybody to know is I am extremely grateful for each and every person that messages me, sends me well wishes, tells me a story. I mean, I get stories all the time about how uh, they watched a show and they was able to take their granddaughter or their son, or like I had a lady that messaged me. She didn't know how to fish, and she took her son out. Unfortunately, the father wasn't in the picture, and she was able to take her son out and teach him how to fish and catch a fish and make a memory. So, you know, man, the companies that stand behind me and help me, like Sea Arc, Suzuki, Marine Master, NKT, Slunger Cat, Hurricane Anchors, Slime Line Fishing Line, Diachi Fishing Hooks. And I know I butchered Diachi. I can't never say it right, but Phytech Cast Nets, Extreme Bait Tank. I know I'm leaving somebody out. Smooth Move Seats, Tackle Bandit, Demon Dragons, Catfish Apparel. I couldn't do it without every single one of you guys. You guys make a huge difference in my life and my ability to be able to do what I do and help others. And so, if you guys are out there, and you guys need a product from one of those companies, please support them because they support me, and in return is able to teach and help others learn how to catch fish or make memories.
Quickly before we shut her down, where's your channel, your personal channel? What are you still dropping videos weekly?
Yeah, I'm trying to. If you want to follow me, obviously you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and Slunger Cat Outdoors, or you can follow me on Chris Souders. A lot of times, I need to switch my personal page over to a fan page because it's kind of tapped out. So, but Slunger Cat Outdoors. You can also follow me on YouTube at Slunger Cat Outdoors. I try to put out new videos each and every week. A lot of times, life gets in the way with the shows and fishing and things. But yeah, we try to, and I would appreciate if you guys go over and take a look and let me know what you think.
One quick question I like to ask everybody before they take off. What's your favorite memory in catfishing?
Oh man, that's a super easy one. That's a super easy one, man. That takes me back to a time whenever I had party in a business in the front and party in the back. Man, I was a little sweatpants wearing, pot bellied kid that was hanging out with his grandfather on the banks of local lake here where I'm from, and catching catfish, channel cats, and just fishing in general. So, takes me back to there, back there with him.
Well, Chris, I really do appreciate you taking time to come out and hang with us tonight. I appreciate it, and I know everybody else does. It's always a real informative show when we get you.
Yeah, well,
We definitely
man,
appreciate
hey,
it.
buddy, it's been a pleasure. It's been absolute blessing, and if you don't mind, I'd like to do one more thing. If you
Sure
don't,
thing. Sure thing.
folks, I said a lot of my videos, and I tried to shine the light on every chance I could possibly get. God blesses us each and every day. He's blessed me more than I deserve, tenfold. I can't express to you. I mean, he's took cancer away from my wife. He's gave us children when we couldn't have children. Uh, if you need somebody to talk to, if you want somebody to talk to, if you want to learn more about our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. Uh, I don't I don't want to force nothing on nobody. But yesterday, today, and tomorrow are three of the best days as a Christian we can ever have. And I just give glory to God and thank Him for everything. And I want you guys to know, if you need anything, please let me know. Please let me know.
We appreciate you, Chris. You hang out. I'm gonna end the show for everybody else. But all right, guys, I appreciate y'all stopping by. We'll see y'all next week.